Hello everyone and welcome back to SB Living. I'm SB and this is the place for slow, seasonal, and spiritual living where we celebrate food, faith, and family in the everyday. And after the holiday season for Thanksgiving, now that it's over, we're in our first week of Advent, which is my favorite time of year. And it's interesting because we don't really hear of Advent as much as we hear about other seasons like Lent or even ordinary time even, right? Advent is something that is super special, and I'll get into a little bit of that in this video. But first, if you see here, I am chopping up a bunch of seasonal vegetables. We have butternut squash. There's going to be some apples I'm going to be putting in here. Roasted apples with squash is a beautiful thing. If you haven't done it yet, please do so. It always tends to grab the interest of my children because they want to have a quick snack. So do I buy them by the bushel? I sure do. This particular dish is going to be a pasta dish. I'm going to use some fettuccine that I had and toss it with these vegetables, doused in olive oil, some simple seasoning, and call it a night. And that is the beauty of these big baking trays. I have several of them. I keep them stored in the oven. I don't know if anybody else does that, but it just seems like a useless waste of space inside of the oven if you're not baking something. So that's where all the baking trays go. And whatever I do have left over, I just put on the side for another day because it is autumn. We are going to have more and more of these sweet potatoes and squash coming, because people think that December usually is the start of winter. Actually, winter doesn't start until the end of December, very close to Christmas, so we're still enjoying these autumnal seasonal harvests. So why Advent, and why is it my favorite? It might be your favorite too. It might be your new favorite recently, and if it is, please share in the comments why it is so important to you, and some of the memories that you do have. But as far as what I've always thought, Advent, very similar to Lent, these times of waiting, of anticipation, of reflection. But I think Advent's just that much more special, especially to us moms. If you know that at the end of all of this waiting is going to be a beautiful baby, it's like how the story ends. You know what's coming. It's like that last month of pregnancy. It's like, I'm not going through it personally myself right now, but it is that same anticipation of knowing that on a particular day, a new life will be given for us, and it is a super special moment. And it's very joyous. I think Lent gets this really bad reputation of being super sad and full of grief only up until Holy Week and Easter, when then you can celebrate as if you deserve to celebrate. You have to earn that celebration. I feel like Advent, we don't have to earn anything. We don't have to do anything particularly special to still celebrate on December 25th, on Christmas Day, and then Christmas time afterwards. Let me tell you, if you haven't done the celebration of the 8 days of Christmas after Christmas Day, up until the Epiphany, and just Christmas time, research it. You don't have to stop celebrating Christmas on the day. Please extend the joy, extend the happiness, even into January. With this pasta, it is a mixture of so many vegetables, not just the carrots and the potatoes and the squash. It's also some cannellini beans that are easily rinsed off and tossed with it. Again, it's very nutritious, and no apology for mixing pasta with potatoes. It's actually very filling and very balanced meal if you think about it. The big toss is a challenge. I wish I had a bigger bowl. I don't know if I could find a bigger bowl. Do you have a bigger bowl than this? I need to have one, because the amount of pasta that I need to prepare to feed everybody, it just necessitates gosh, a huge bowl. So I'm in the market for one. Please share if you know. But it's doing okay for now. The toss is the secret, and I keep saying, when you think you're done tossing, toss some more, because it is something that you're going to need to evenly distribute all of the oil, all of the seasoning, and all of the vegetables. And even while you're plating, continue tossing just to ensure you get everything in. Cheese is a necessity. I do often buy already grated cheese if I have a good price for it, if I find it. But a whole block of cheese on a grater does the same thing. So this is regular Parmigiano cheese. I do like Pecorino Romano. That's a beautiful taste. Not as popular, but something I grew up with. And this completes this meal. This is a beautiful weeknight meal and something you could easily put together and still feel satiated and still feel like you're enjoying something special. So this is a beef stew. It is nothing except that. It is very simple. It's a whole bunch of beef. I do buy the family pack or the biggest pack that I can get my hands on. Usually it's I think this is a 3 pound of beef, 5 pound, I don't know. But I looked at the amount and I said, yeah, that'll feed my family. And then there's the big pot to heat up the oil to brown the meat and put everything else inside. And once everything else is done, it goes in the oven for it to cook away while I am doing everything else. This is a weekend meal. It's not something I can easily pull off on a weeknight. I would have to definitely be home to do this, either a day off from work or a Saturday or a Sunday. And a lot of this is just patience and waiting, which I don't mind, because when you know how good something's going to come at the end, you don't mind waiting. So like another Advent theme, right? When you know that there's something good coming up at the end, when you know after 25 days a beautiful joy is awaiting you, you don't mind doing the work. You don't mind waiting. You don't mind, keeping things settled, which I think for a dish like this, when you are trying to just ease into a routine and you want people to, feel the love that you're putting into this meal, it's a very easy thing to do. You can't really mess this up. These slow cooking dishes you can't mess up. And there's something beautiful about being routine. It brings comfort. People know, again, how things are going to come about. And it's a theme that I've also been thinking on. Every year I do an Advent plan. And if you know Father Mike or Father Mike Schmitz, if you've seen him on YouTube or Instagram or wherever Ascension Press is at, you know that every year they have an Advent plan. And the past couple of years, I believe it was Father Mike Toops. He did a beautiful series. If you'd like to get your hands on it, the Rejoice books for Advent are beautiful. It takes you through the journey through the eyes of Mary or through the eyes of Joseph or even the shepherds, or even just trying to be in that moment yourself. But the current one that is through the Ascension Press with Father Mike is called Face to Face, and the theme is, as morbid as it sounds, what if you knew you were going to meet Jesus on December 25th? What if you knew you were going to die? Which is so morbid for Christmas. But if you know that on that day, on any given day coming up, that you are going to be seen as your true self, would you live your life differently? Would you do things differently today and for the next who knows how many days? And let's say in 25 days I have time to get it right. What would you do? And I keep thinking about that because, gosh, if I had a long list of things that I would have to change what would that mean about how I'm living every day, And maybe I'm not thinking about it that way, but I can't generate a long list, or God, much of a list even. And I don't know, like, would you change a lot of things about the way you live your life? I don't know if I would. And what does that really mean? Does that mean that I'm fully satisfied and I can go to bed at night without any crazy thoughts on my mind or worries on my mind? Absolutely not. I think we all have worries. But if you're satisfied, like proud of, if you are happy, if you have made intentional decisions in your life to reach your own peace, your own happiness, but also seeking the peace and happiness of others through your work, through your daily life, then I think that you can feel ready to reckon with whatever's going to come up next. And if you're still working towards that goal, if you are, hey, if you're still growing up, or even if you are in your autumn years, right? Or still in a moment of reflecting on your life and trying to think of any big changes, really think on whether or not you actually do have to change everything, or just small things, or maybe it's not so much changing what you do, but changing your perspective, or changing your mindset, or your intention behind it. Maybe it's an amazing thing that you perhaps spend so much time addressing the needs of others, but it could get very disheartening. It could get very exhausting. Hey, how many meals have I cooked every single day while balancing a job, while balancing, responsibilities for others? Again, being an educator isn't just being an educator nowadays. It's being everything to everybody often, right? And it's for other people and for other families, not just your own. So how do you reconcile all of that? How do you refrain from feeling resentment with the work that you do? I never have enough time. I can't do much for myself. Why do I feel angry, at the things that I have to do? It takes a lot of practice, and I think it takes a lot of breathing and it takes a lot of just thinking about, what is the end goal? Will it be worth it at the end? Because sometimes these never-ending routines can get very, very tiring. You could get jaded. You could get dazed. You can get, it's just hard. It's just going to be hard sometimes to wake up every day with this joy in your heart, even though we want to, but sometimes you don't. Listen, been there. Hey, somewhat recently, right? But at the end of the day, it's knowing that feelings are transient. They don't last forever, but your actions do make sometimes a lasting impact. So sometimes we do need to step back and say, I'm not ready to put all of my energy into something until I feel like I can. So take that with you during this Advent season. It's not just about giving your all without any room for yourself to grow. It's also about, knowing what that balance feels like and what it looks like, so that you can enjoy these moments like dinner with your family, beautiful moments at home, traditions, right? Advent is full of tradition. Get back to these traditions in a way that you don't feel like you need to regret not doing anything else. So this time it's not going to be banana bread, it's going to be pumpkin banana bread muffins. So same thing, different packaging, different flavor, and you know it's something that we make very often because there's always bananas that we don't get to finish, and I don't know what it is, but no one wants to eat an overripe banana. I don't know, but hey, I'm not throwing it out. So here we are with these 2 bowls. I'm making 2 batches because if you have enough, why not make more? You could enjoy some now and freeze some later. And if you think about, what is the recipe that I'm going to be needing to make? You know, I don't really rely on my own. I do like to look at a bunch of different recipes. If you ever wonder where I get my recipes from, I get them from you guys. I get them from the internet. I look to see which ones make sense to me that have probably the simplest ingredients possible. And then I look to see if I can, add something here, take something away there. I've recently made a pumpkin pie without evaporated milk, and it turned out beautiful. So listen, you never know until you try. So with these things, when I do make double batches, I don't make it in one big bowl. I do make it in 2 separate bowls so that the recipe ingredients and the ratios, they do stay the same. I just do everything twice. So if it's a couple of cups of flour per recipe, I measure it out, put it in a bowl, and then I measure it out again, and I put it in a bowl. And that way there's just consistency behind everything. Where I do like to experiment the most, and this totally goes off of any recipe, are the spices. Yes, there's cinnamon, but I love adding things like cardamom or fennel seed, cloves, anything that gives it an extra boost or a different type of flavor. I like to experiment. I've never done cardamom before, but when I did it in these, oh man, they were so good. And you can't really identify where it is and what happens to it, but I know it was because of the cardamom. So definitely try it out if you haven't. So with this Advent season, this idea of going back to the things that you know works, going back to routine, going back to tradition, in anticipation for something that you know is going to be beautiful and joyous. It's a very special time, and I think that theme of time is also at play here. I think it's a very important aspect that we often don't think about because it's so relative now, right? Time, we can control time so much, but then we always complain that we never have enough of it. So I want to read you a poem that I have felt really encapsulates, I think, the time period, but I think the essence of what we're trying to get at. You may have heard this. I don't know who the author is. I can't identify it, but I know it's a very, very old poem. So the fact that it stayed with us for so long, it means something. So here we go. Take time to think. It is the source of power. Take time to play. It is the secret of perpetual youth. Take time to read. It is the fountain of wisdom. Take time to pray. It is the greatest power on earth. Take time to love and be loved. It is the God-given privilege. Take time to be friendly. It is the road to happiness. Take time to laugh. It is the music of the soul. Take time to give. Life is too short to be selfish. Take time to work. It is the price of success. And take time to do charity. It is the key to heaven. I wish you and yours a beautiful Advent. We will definitely see each other next week. Be safe, and we'll see each other soon.